A 2018 study by the National Bureau of Economic Research found that about 33% of players in the NHL, MLB, or NBA file for bankruptcy between 10 to 25 years after they've retired. So you're probably thinking, why is this? These players earn millions and millions of dollars throughout their career. So why are they then in a position where they're having to file for bankruptcy? That's why in this video I wanted to talk through how we as society are conditioned to be poor. And then I'm also going to share with you how to make sure you don't get caught up in this. Buy mentality. I'm sure you've all heard of the word FOMO. Fear of missing out. This is a word that underpins so much of the psychological advertisements that we see on a day-to-day basis. Get the next big thing. This is so much better than the previous version. Everyone is buying this now. All of these sorts of tactics trigger that FOMO feeling. The feeling that you're getting left behind and you need to be buying these things in order to keep up with society. It's a big factor of consumer purchasing. And now it's even more sophisticated than it ever has been before. If you think about it, when you're scrolling through TikTok or Instagram and you come across profiles that you've never seen before, but they really align with the things that you're interested in, that's an algorithm that's working in the background in order to engage you as much as possible and to try and get you to buy something that they're selling. People often talk about the concept of retail therapy. I've even used it myself at times. The idea that going out and purchasing something will make you feel better and happier in your life. And yes, you do naturally get an instant boost and short-term gratification from the thing that you have purchased. But generally, that purchase does not fix or resolve the underlying emotional issues that you may have. The buy mentality is everywhere in your day-to-day life, and it is so easy to get caught in that trap. I resist this by utilising a few different methods. The first one being the 30-day rule, which I go into in more detail in another one of my videos, which I'll link down below. And secondly, I consistently remind myself of my long-term goals. If I were to buy this would compromise my long-term future goal of X, Y, and Z. And it helps me bring myself back down to reality and get my priorities straight. The missing class. Now, I don't know about you, but financial literacy was not something that I was taught at school. Instead, it's something that I've had to educate myself on over the years through reading numerous books, watching videos, and a little bit of trial and error. I had to teach myself how to manage and optimize my credit score, how to secure a good mortgage deal, and understand what my options are when it comes to savings and investments. There are many people out there that either choose just simply to not educate themselves on these things or feel frankly overwhelmed at the amount of information that there is and therefore scared to even dip their toe in. If you're sitting there unsure of what you need to be educating yourself on, the 4 key things from my perspective are budgeting, saving, investing, and good credit management. If you're able to understand and nail these 4 things, you will have a really strong foundation to help propel you onto the next step of your financial literacy journey. The cost of chasing lottery dreams. The concept of the lottery is really selling the dream. You purchase yourself a ticket, you get a set of numbers, and you hope and pray that they are going to be called on that special evening. But the chances of winning the lottery is about 1 in 300 million in America and about 1 in 14 million in the UK. And if you look at the demographic of the types of people that are buying lottery tickets, typically America's poorest households will spend on average about 33 times more of their income than those from a rich or wealthy household, because they're looking for that golden ticket to help them escape their financial situation. When it comes to gambling, we have the concept of what is known as expected value. And this is the average outcome of an experiment if it is repeated many times. The concept of expected value is separated into 3 areas: positive EV, negative EV, and zero EV. With positive, you will typically expect to make money in the long run. Negative, however, you will typically expect to lose money in the long term. And then with zero, break even. The lottery is an example of a negative EV because your odds of winning are so low. A positive EV would be an example of an investment. Yes, investments can be risky, and if you don't take the proper precautions, you can end up losing money. But if you do the thorough checks, you do the thorough research, they can end up being a really fruitful way of earning additional money in the long term. When comparing this to the likes of the poor versus the rich, poor people will typically make negative EV choices and therefore lose money over the longer term, whereas rich people will typically choose positive EV options, maximizing their opportunity to make money in the longer term period. Abundance activation. There are two typical mindsets that very much distinguish a person that is of a poor mindset versus someone that is of a wealth mindset, and that is poverty versus abundance. If you are able to embrace an abundance mindset, then you will likely be much more successful in your financial endeavors. I wanted to share a few examples on what the differences between an abundance and a poverty mindset would be. I can't afford that. I have to do everything myself to save money. I should stick to what I know. Money is the root of all evil. And successful people are just lucky. On the flip side, an abundance mindset is instead, how can I afford that? Investing in help can free up my time to earn more. Learning new skills opens up new opportunities. Money is a tool that can be used for good. And I can learn from successful people and create my own luck. The same situation, but a very different way of approaching and thinking about it. The easiest way that I have found to shift myself in times where I've been in a poverty mindset to an abundance mindset is really taking a step back and critically thinking about why I am thinking the way that I am. I am then able to review the situation and reevaluate the legitimacy of what my initial thought and feelings were. I then use that as an opportunity to apply different points of view to that specific situation, essentially cognitively retraining my brain to have an abundance mindset. And I found it to be really useful in so many situations that I have been in. The Trap of Financial Helplessness. In this section, I want to talk through with you the concept of learned helplessness. It is a mental state where an individual believes they have no control over their situation, leading them to give up and accept negative circumstances even when opportunities for change become available. This was a concept that was discovered by two psychologists in the 1960s, Martin Seligman and Stephen Meyer. And the key characteristics that can be identified from a person exerting learned helplessness are passivity in the face of adversity, difficulty in recognizing opportunities, lack of effort to change circumstances, belief in that their actions just simply won't make a difference, and an increase in stress whilst also seeing a decrease in their self-esteem. This way of behavioural thinking is something that can very easily be passed on by our family members as we grow up when we're younger. And similarly, it's something that can also be adopted as we go through tough experiences within our lives. But there are ways in which you can break yourself out of that cycle. A key one being cognitive restructuring. So when you're in that position, forcing yourself to critically rethink that situation and changing those negative beliefs into positive ones. Secondly, giving yourself gradual exposure to controlled situations, therefore reinforcing that you have control over your life. Rather than going and targeting big, huge goals, split these goals up into small, manageable ones. The small wins really do make a difference. And then finally, developing a growth mindset and building your resilience. These are all mindsets that wealthy people embrace in order to have full control over their lives and drive their own success. These 5 points collectively do make it very hard to get out of that poor mindset, especially when you may feel like that you are fighting against the majority. But trust me, if you're able to identify where you may be exerting these behaviours in aspects of your life and then tackling them in order to break that cycle, you will help yourself on your journey towards financial freedom. Thanks so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.